I went ahead to David's website, Join Up Dots, and noticed that he had a program on there called Podcasters Mastery, where he says that he will help you or anybody that wants to join his program with information about how to be a successful podcaster like himself. And so I signed up for that, and his videos were not just about podcasting. They are about how to decide what kind of business you should be in the first place. They're about how to be more productive when you start doing the work that you want to do in your business. How can you do the work in the most efficient and effective way so that it doesn't swallow up your whole life? So these are just some of the really cool things that you'll find out if you decide to go ahead to check out David's program, Podcasters Mastery, as well as his Facebook page, Dream Starters Academy. I can tell you that it was the videos on Podcasters Mastery as well as David himself that encouraged me through his Dream Starters Academy program to start a video lesson site. And so far I have 3 evergreen pieces of music that I wrote for my future videos, and also I have 4 out of 7 of my first videos already produced and ready to go. I really am excited about what I can do in my new business, and David is big help and a big encouragement, as well as all the others in the Facebook group, Dream Starters Academy.
So you've done all your recording, you've got all your files, and you're ready to go. So there's just a few things that you need to do really to get it out into the world. And there's 2 ways of doing this. There's either that you go for 100 million customers and listeners and a global dominating show, or you go for the laser targeted content that will appeal to specific customers, which translates into income. And it's better to go for the second one than the first one, certainly. If you can get 20,000 customers or listeners a month, but they're laser targeted, this is so profitable, it's untrue. Some shows get 1 million downloads a month. Very, very few get to that point, but certainly in the sort of 20,000s to 30,000s of customers that are coming to your show, and literally it's an income production that you can't turn off once it starts. So how do we do it? Well, in this video what we're going to do is show you some of the things that you will need to think about as you launch your show. And one of the things, first of all, is what are you going to call it? What are you going to call your show to appeal to not only your customer, but also to your branding as well? Now, you might be starting a show as a lead in to a business, and then you literally can have blue sky thinking because you can create the business to match the podcast and so forth. When I started Join Up Dots, the show was the starting point, and so it was very easy for me to choose the name of it. Now, would I have called it something different now? Yes, I probably would have done, but only with experience. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go into iTunes and show you around and show you what we're aiming for your show. Let's have a look. So here we are in iTunes, and you can see that it's structured into several different areas, and the very first thing that we will see is it's new and noteworthy, and this is where we're going to aim to get into. This is where we want to be, because this is where the most eyes appear. Now, as I was saying before, it depends on how your business is structured. If you've already got a customer base but you're expanding that customer base, or you're expanding your knowledge base so people come to you as a recognized expert, it's obviously not going to be as important to be getting lots and lots and lots of new customers. But if you are starting from scratch, and I would say either way you want to do it really, if I've got the chance of more and more customers, I'm going to try to do everything I can to get into this area. Now, as you can see over on the right hand side, it says podcasts and all categories: business, education, health, religion and spirituality. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking our podcast and we're going to be putting it into the sections that people want to actually find content about, so it becomes even more laser targeted, as I say. So if I went over to business, for example, and it's just going to upload. There you go. You can see that we've got new and noteworthy. These are all the shows that have just been released, and you've got 8 weeks to stay in this area. And if you can get into this area, then of course as soon as anybody comes to the business or education or whatever section, this is the bit they first see. They don't even have to scroll down. This is it. And so this guy here, Ask Jack D, we're going to go onto there. You can see that he's got 131 reviews, so people are liking his content, and we can go over to the ratings and reviews here, and you can see it's 5-star, 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 all the way along the line. Now this is brilliant, and to try to get as many of these as quickly as possible will give you a real big push. And we're going to discuss ratings and reviews in a little while, but that is something that you've got to maintain a constant push to get as many ratings and reviews as possible. And it's not that hard to do really, but you have to do it in the right way. Now what he's done, which is quite clever, he's called himself Ask Jack D, which is very similar. And if we go into What's Hot, there will be a show somewhere in the What's Hot, and these are established shows that have been around for a while, called Ask Gary V and Ask Pat. So the top guys will have shows, and Pat Flynn is from Smart Passive Income, and he's got a very big profile. They will have shows Ask Me, basically. And so what he's done, he's taken that kind of idea of Ask Me, and he's branded himself as Ask Jack D. So people will already kind of expect a certain amount of content or a certain type of content because he's phrased it that way. And what you need to do, first of all, you need to have a name and an image that is appealing. Now, if you go to Join Up Dots, and this is in Australia, so I'm not doing amazingly well in Australia. Oh, look, there's Ask Gary V podcast, so he's done a similar thing. So in Australia, I'm doing okay, but I'm somewhere down here, I would imagine. Yeah, there we go, Join Up Dots. Now, the thing about Join Up Dots as a name, it works when you come into the show. When you actually want to come in, listen to my show, you will go, oh, I understand totally what that's about. And it's a great message. It links up the show very well with the logo. But it doesn't really have that clickability. If somebody's scrolling up and down, that won't appeal to them as much as, say, Motivate Me or Your Best Just Got Better. The ones that have a clickability factor are the ones that when you look at the logo, you totally understand what it's going to be. Inspire Nation, so you know that's pretty much going to be some motivational stuff. So you're feeling that you need a boost, that would be a good one. The Art of Paid Traffic. All of these have what I would call clickability factor. They have an logo or wording which means that people don't even actually have to go into it to understand what it's all about. As I say, Join Up Dots, and if you look at the logo, you can only see your future by connecting the dots. Steve Jobs, that gives it a bit more of a link of what it's about. Join Up Dots, Entrepreneur Podcast, Steve Jobs, Careers, Freedom, Business, and these are all keywords which give me more of a boost in the iTunes categories. We do a lot of work about this in Podcasters Mastery, the main site. Bit too advanced to go in at the moment because it will blow your mind really, but certainly if you can master the keywords, you get even more customers. And you can see I'm doing quite well in Australia. Each time the show's getting more and more downloads, which means that it will push me up more and more into the What's Hot categories. And then the more you get to the top of here, you will be getting more and more customers. So it's like a big bubble, iTunes. The more listeners you get, and there you go, I'm not too bad on there. The more listeners you get, the more boost you get, the more you float up, and then the more listeners you get. It keeps on win, 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 win all the way through. So if you get to the top, which for quite a while I used to sit at number one in careers and business and education in iTunes UK for quite a long while. So let's jump back onto that. So the very first thing you've got to do is you've got to really start thinking about how you can brand your image, how you can make it clickable. And of course, if you've already got a logo for your show or your platform, your business, then how can you blend the two together? Not so it's your name of your business, but how it links somehow. You know, Joe Casey has got a good one, the Happy Coach podcast. Now, that is very good. That's clickable because, you know, if you're a coach, it's going to be specific about the coach. It's about specific about making you happy, so making you a better coach. So there's a little run through of logos. Now, where can you get all these logos done? You can go over to Fiverr, which is fiverr.com, and there's a lot of people that can make your logos for only $5, about £3. And if I go back into my one again, so I'll just type in Join Up Dots. Now, this wasn't the first logo I had, but the first one I went on Fiverr and it wasn't brilliant, but he gave me a basis of how this was going to be. And I might change it in the future. I might make it sort of a little bit more sexy, but that cost me only $5. But if you've got, you know, Photoshop or whatever, you can do those yourself and then you'll be up and running. Okay, so let's go into the next stage of looking at how you actually get your show onto iTunes. Okay, so as you've seen in the previous videos, I now recommend Awesound. Awesound as the place that hosts our shows and then gives us the link which we can post across the world for people to actually listen to our shows. And it's a very easy way of doing it. If you go into Podcasters Mastery, you'll see that I spent quite a bit of time with Libsyn, which is the one that most podcasters go with. But I think if you're starting a podcast, I think Awesound are brilliant now because the customer service is amazing. They will help you get up and running and you don't actually have to break the bank. It's very, very cheap right at the very beginning to host your shows. And actually, I can show you this. If you go over to pricing, where we are, plans, as it says, nobody offers more. For 100 hours of audio uploads, it's totally free for life. So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of shows. So literally, you will be launching your show for free. If you go up to 300 hours, then it's all for $5, and then you can move on. We've actually got a bonus, which will give you up to $120 for free. But certainly, it's a great way of starting this. 100 hours of audio uploads. That's more shows than most people release in a lifetime. So there you go. That's why I recommend Awesound. And it's really easy to do. All you need to do is come across and create your account. Now, once you've created your account, change your profile, and you then got to start creating a list. And you can see on here, I've got 2 archive shows. And so I'm just going into that. Here's Join Up Dots, the Solopreneur podcast. And you can see that I'm in Kids and Family on iTunes, Training and Self-Help. And if I scroll down, here's all my shows, all my icons. And I can prove this. This is all listed on here. And you can see it's archived too. If I go back into iTunes, let's get iTunes running. And I'm just going to type in there Join Up Dots for quickness. And you can see there it is. The image, all the shows. And here's my listeners. As you can see, the more listeners you get, the more popular. And the bar should go left to right. And if it's all totally grey, you've got a good listener base to your shows. Now, these are archive shows, so these link into my main show. But I'm going to go back into Awesound, and so you can see this is how I've set it up. So I'm in Kids and Family, Training and Self-Help. So first of all, what you need to do is create a list. So we go over to Publish, and we create a playlist. So got that cover image ready. By this time, you should have got your cover image ready, the one that appears in iTunes. So I'm just going to upload a new image to show you how to do it, and I'm just going to choose any image on my files. So that's processing. And so that's an image, as you see, very, very easy. So I'm going to give a title, and this is a title to my whole show. And I'm going to say a test show to prove how easy podcasting is. Now, when I was typing it in, I would do capitals and make it look more professional, but you get the flavour of it. Now, with the subtitle, what I want to do is put a one-line subtitle that draws you in so that it appears here. David Ralph reveals the best success formulas in his popular top-rated solopreneur business podcast. Okay, so on here, I would write something. Amazing show for all coaches or business folk. Explode your income. Something that's catchy, something that will lure people to listen to your show. Then we're going to do a description. What's the overall theme of this series collection? Why should listeners subscribe? So we can say every day in a different way to all other shows, we will be demonstrating, don't worry about the spelling, how to build a business and create income streams everywhere. And as I say, there's ways that we can actually put very good words into here which will really explode your listenership. Majority of podcasters don't, because they don't know how to do that, but that's one of the things that I have mastered in Podcasters Mastery, and it really does give you a boost. The more listeners you get, of course, the more income. The author, this is important for iTunes search, so I'm going to say David Ralph, and then I'm just going to randomly choose some keywords. So they've got to be relevant to your podcast. They've got to be specific for what you're doing. So if you are doing a coaching business, for example, I would put coaching, I would put coaches, business, life, might be a life coach. So all these words will tie up to search up here. So if somebody puts in coaches, for example, they might be just looking for podcasts on coaches. So I can click on that. And it's having a little think. It's having a big think. There we go. And so we can see the podcasts there. All these are to do with coaching. So the life coach, Achieve Your Goals, Chris Lacurto, Operation Self Reset. Yep, some good shows there. Okay, so we jump back onto here, and then we're going to choose our categories. So I'm going to choose one for us. So let's go for, say it was a coaching course, I might go education. Now, the first one that you choose is your prime category. That's the most important one. So you've got to be specific. You can be more sort of flexible with second and third categories, but the first one is really important. So you've really got to go down this list and decide which one might be best. So for coaching, for example, it might be best to do health, okay? And the ones that you want to do, you don't want to have your first main category as self-help, for example. What you would want to do is have health, because you can see it's shaded in there, or kids and family, or music. Whatever ones that are bolded out should be your first prime category. So down here, I would go technology, I would go sports and recreation, I'd go society and culture. Hopefully that makes sense because it's shaded out there. So I'm going to just go, where were we? Health on that, so that's the prime one. But on the second one, I might want to go, within that health section, might want to go self-help. And then my third category, I might want to go, let's go, Suppose it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go hobbies. Doesn't really matter because it's a test. Okay. And at that point there, what we can do is click save. And then you've created your list, okay? And all you've got to do then is actually go up to iTunes. So I'm going to click save because I can delete that. Okay, so now this is my playlist save. So I've created a show, amazing show for all coaches or business folk. I can actually see that it's already producing my RSS feed, really simple syndication. So if I click on that, it started to do the work already, and that is my feed. That little link there, whoever I give it to will be able to listen to my show. Brilliantly easy. So I'm going to go back to there, and what we need to do now is start adding shows. So we've got our playlist, and then we upload audio, and it's a step-by-step process. So I'm going to select an MP3. Let's go to Join Up Dots podcast sounds. Okay, so these are not really what I would upload, but these are files, so they will work anyway. These aren't shows. So I'm going to click open. There you go. It's already uploaded. I choose the icon I want. Now I've got multiple shows. So on this one, which is the test one, I click on that. The cover art is saved. And then for each show, I write a description, a subtitle, and a title. So when it appears in iTunes, and we go, for example, in this one, you can see that's your title. That's your description. Now, he's missing out his description. I don't know why that is. He's losing a lot of traffic by doing that. So that's just sort of laziness. If you go over to my show, you can see that I don't miss out anything. I make sure that all the words are in the right position. There we go. And you can see that we've got information here, and you can see that we've got a description which is different from the subtitle. So I've got as many keywords as possible scattered around for people to be able to find this show and make it popular. So jumping back once again, so I'm going to put the description in, I'm going to put the subtitle, I'm going to put as much information in there as possible, and then I'm going to add my keywords for the show. And basically, once you get down to the bottom, you click publish now, or you click schedule, whatever you want to do. If you want to schedule it, that will just give you a date for when you can actually start making it go live from here over into iTunes and Stitcher and wherever you want to go. Very, very easy to do. And once you've done one, you'll be doing them within seconds. So that is how to get the files up onto your hosting so that you can then send it across to Stitcher and iTunes or wherever you want to go to get more and more traffic. Now, if I go back into my create playlist or edit unpublished tracks, here we go. Okay, you can see that it's actually linked it up as a player already. You can see I can click on this and we can hear it.
Welcome to Join Up Dots, amazing conversation. Join Up Dots.
So that was my original intro for my show, and you can see that these are all unpublished tracks. Now, the brilliant thing about this, I'm going to go back to my playlist. There we go, a test show. Now on here, get your podcast listed on iTunes. Awsound will do this for you. It's brilliant. All you need to do is put your RSS feed into there and submit to iTunes, and they will do the lot for you, okay? And that will get that directly onto there, which is a good starting place. Now, what we want you to do is put your show everywhere you can, so you get more and more listeners. But certainly, if you get onto iTunes first of all, that is your starting point. So let's have a look now about what you can do to get as many ratings and reviews as possible to make sure that you get a big boost and get up into the new and noteworthy. So you've created all your show, You've got a lovely logo. You've uploaded it onto Sound for hosting, and now you've got the RSS feed, and it's pointing towards iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and all the other podcasting directories out there. So what do you do then? How do you get it to the top of the charts? Well, this is when promotion comes into it, and this is when it's totally up to you. I do know podcasters out there that have got a big profile already, so they didn't have to do much promotion. I also know some podcasters that had to do a lot of promotion at the beginning. But one of the key ways to get to the top and get that momentum is by asking for ratings and reviews, subscriptions, ratings and reviews. Now, on iTunes, if people subscribe to your show, every time you launch a show, it will automatically go over to them. So you can imagine the more people that have subscribed, the more listeners you're going to get, because they've actually asked for that content to be sent to them. So it automatically goes through, and they just have to click on their app on their phone, and bang, you've got a download. Now, one of the other ways is getting ratings and reviews, and it's not easy to get those at the beginning. So you need to be very proactive. If you have got a following on Facebook, if you've got a list already, if you've got clients that you're working with, ask them. Ask them all the time. Ask friends and family, would you mind just going over to iTunes? It only takes 2 minutes, and leave a rating and review for you. And we can give you a way of getting your RSS link even easily, or even easier, I should say, into the hands of people, so they can literally click and bang, they can get straight on to the ratings and reviews. So what we need to do is ask. Now, I know some people that have actually written out the review, so people just have to cut and paste. That's a good way of doing it, but there's no getting away from it. At the beginning, it's a little bit of a hassle, but as you can see on my show, if you go over to my show in America, I've got 450 ratings and reviews, which is pretty good. In the United Kingdom, I've got about 180. Now, some shows have got thousands, but they've got thousands of listeners, so it's much easier to get. But you do need to heavily ask. No getting away from it. Anyone you meet, do you have an iTunes account? Oh, you wouldn't mind going and sort of listening to my show and rating and review it. A lot of podcasters will ask for it on the end of each of their shows. I'm not convinced that's the best way of doing it, to be honest, just because more often than not people are listening to your show when they're jogging or they're mowing the lawn or whatever. It's very rare that somebody listens to it in front of their computer when they can do this. But by attaching a request on the bottom of an email, if you wouldn't mind, could you just go over to iTunes and leave a ratings and review? That works very well. Every time somebody asks for your help in something, kind of cheekily say to them, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that for you, if you wouldn't mind doing a ratings and review. So just push it all the time. And the more ratings and reviews, as we say, the more you rise up through the charts. The higher you rise up on the charts, you get more listeners, and it just keeps on going up. So it's a big push for you to get that. Of course, the same works with all the other platforms, but I would recommend that we go with iTunes at the beginning. I think that's the main one where the majority of ears and fingers are there, because obviously people search and they want to be able to find your show, so we need to do it in the right way. So it is very, very important to get your subscriptions, ratings, reviews. It's very, very important to get the keywords right, and as I say, we have a whole platform in Podcasters Mastery that teaches you how to do that. So naturally, a lot of hassle that you might have, trying to get your show to the top will be taken away, because you're programming iTunes in the way that it should be programmed, so that your show is found in as many areas as possible. As I say, that is a huge block of work that we've done for you. Too much for these videos. It would be going on launch your podcast in 3 weeks or something. So can't do it in here, but that's very, very useful. So start thinking about the words that you would want your show to be found for, and of course ask every single person you possibly can to leave a ratings and review. Now, once you've got that, you can go over onto your website, and of course you can host these shows on your website as well. There's loads of podcast players out there. There's free plugins Simple Podcast Press. Blueberry is one that I use on my website. It's a plugin, and you can go over to your WordPress and type in podcast players in the plugins, find your plugin, and then simply all you have to do is take the link for each show and put it actually on there. Once again, it's very, very easy to do. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We've taken you through all the steps, and now you're at the position to actually get people listening to your show. Any questions, of course, you know where I am, and good luck. Thank you very much for being part of this course, and we will look forward to seeing you on the other side.